Well, thank you very much, Bob, and I want to thank the organizers for the invitation to join you this morning and the chance to say a few words. I want to congratulate the organizers and the attendees. I think the cause that you're seeking to advance, environmental stewardship, conservation, sustainability, is one of the most important of our times. And you should be encouraged by the polls that show that even although we're in a serious recession, for the first time, public concern for the environment and conservation is staying strong rather than tailing off as economic concerns grow, which is always done in the past. This time, pollsters say that's not happening. And so I guess I'm just saying I think you're on the right track, and just want to add my congratulations for that. Now, to get down to business, it's my understanding that you're here, that we are here, to consider the state of environmental stewardship, conservation in Canada, and to chart a roadmap for achieving policy changes and investments in every step, which will enable Canadians to become better stewards of our magnificent environment and resources with which we have been endowed. And I'm here to assist you in that endeavor if I can. I didn't say I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. That would be untrue because I'm not here from the government. And these days I think it's the government that needs your help rather than the other way around. So, but let's start with the roadmap. If your aim is to develop a roadmap, surely the first question to be answered is a roadmap to where? What is the goal? What is the ultimate destination? We don't want to expose ourselves to that famous criticism of Christopher Columbus that when he started out, he didn't know where he was going. When he got there, he didn't know where he was. When he got back home, he didn't know where he'd been, and he did it all on borrowed money. Sounds like politics. So we need a roadmap with a destination. And I would suggest, like the roadmap and the destination, that the Fathers of Confederation first envisioned for our country. You will recall from the history of our country that the Fathers of Confederation envisioned the creation of a new national community, a dominion they called it, on the northern half of the North American continent. They had a destination in mind, and they had a roadmap which consisted of about 4 main actions to get there. They were going to unite the BNA colonies under a federal constitution. They were going to create a single national economy out of the colonial economies with a single tariff. They were going to acquire, buy the Rupert's Land and the Western Territories from the Hudson Bay, and they were going to build the longest railway at the time in the world to tie it all together. They had this vision, dominion, on the northern half of the North American continent. How are we going to get there? Those are the 4 things that they worked on. Little group of people sitting around Lake Ontario figured all that out. Big vision. And what I'm saying is, or what I'm asking is, what is the equivalent goal or vision for us? One with the same inspirational power and scale as that Confederation goal. Is it not to create a truly sustainable community, a sustainable Canada on the northern half of the North American continent? Maybe there's some better or clever way of saying it, but isn't that the destination? To sustain the ecosystems and renewable resources of Canada, the land, the forest, the water, the air, the wildlife, etc., in such a state that the services they provide and the beauty they represent are unimpaired for the use and enjoyment of future generations. That would be my crack at trying to define where we're trying to get at. And it's probably not quite right, but I think one of the things you want to do is you just put the draft down and people keep working on it, but you get a definition that you're satisfied with, and that can be communicated to others. Your task then is to sharpen and refine that goal and to make it understandable and inspirational to every Canadian, and to identify the roadmap, the major steps along the way that will get us there. Now, the State of Stewardship in Canada report, this report that I guess is on your memory sticks, or maybe you've seen in the hard copy, and which I'll just continue to refer to as the report. I think everybody knows what report I'm talking about. Makes a good start by suggesting these steps that I guess would be part of the roadmap. Develop and promote a common definition of stewardship and conservation. measure and track biodiversity and progress towards ecological service targets, analyze the economic importance of stewardship, better connect and coordinate the stewardship efforts of the governments, and secure funding, particularly from the federal government, to expand and sustain your stewardship activities. And so with those guidelines in mind, what I'd like to do is suggest some complementary steps for the roadmap to sustainability that occur to me as a former politician with some experience, not all of it successful, but often instructive in trying to sell big ideas to large numbers of Canadians. That's actually been my shtick. I like getting a hold of big ideas and trying to sell them to large numbers. My idea of fun is to get a room like this with 500 or 600 people in it and a microphone between me and them, and I'm going to try and convince 51% plus one of them to do this instead of that. I like doing that. And so I'm coming at your goal and your roadmap from that perspective of what could we put on that roadmap that would be saleable to large numbers of people, and because that's actually the key to selling these concepts to political people. They ultimately have to carry the judgment of large numbers of people, and if they can't see how to do it or they don't believe it can be done, then the idea, no matter how good it is, gets into trouble with them. So let's start. The State of Stewardship report, I think, is right on when it starts with the necessity of definitions, measurements, and tracking. One of the major steps towards the development of the national economy in Canada and national economic policy in Canada was the creation of what are now called the National Economic Accounts, which are prepared annually by Statistics Canada. These national economic accounts define, measure, and track in financial terms, all in dollar terms, all the inputs and outputs of every economic enterprise and activity in the country. The sum total of these economic outputs, of course, is the gross national product, again expressed in financial terms, in dollars, the term we most frequently use to measure our progress towards the goal of economic well-being. Now, while all of us recognize the importance of economic prosperity, your particular goal is environmental sustainability and conservation. So my question is, where are the national ecological accounts? Where's the national ecological accounts that define, measure, and track the material and energy inputs and outputs of every economic enterprise and activity in the country, and the ecological impacts on biodiversity? Every major function of the economy, extraction of resources, production of goods and services, distribution, consumption, produces, as you well know, an inevitable stream, a byproduct, a stream of pollutants and environmental stress. This is an inevitable consequence of extraction, production, distribution, and consumption. The two go together. The sum total of these byproducts of our economic activity ultimately add up to the gross national waste, or the gross national environmental impact, the reduction of which would be a measure of our progress towards achieving environmental sustainability. And so one of the first steps I'd like to see on any roadmap to national environmental sustainability would be investment in the creation of the national ecological accounts, the environmental and conservation equivalent of the national economic accounts, in which we invest a huge pile of money and a huge amount of activity every year. Eventually, of course, these two accounting systems need to be combined and integrated so that when we calculate the true cost of producing any good or services, the environmental impacts and the cost of avoiding them or mitigating them are taken fully into account and incorporated into the price of that good and service. Together, the national economic accounts and the national ecological accounts will make possible the full cost accounting and pricing that's necessary to keep our economy and ecology in a sustainable balance.